13 News Now begins with breaking news.
Updating our breaking news out of Norfolk, police and U.S. Marshals are on the scene of a home on West 43rd Street and Kellam Avenue, trying to take a fugitive into custody.
This is a block east of the Ted Constant Convocation Center, and police have blocked off the streets. 13 News Now reporter Chanu Her is live on the scene. And Chanu, what else have you learned about the situation there?
All right, guys, we have reached out to law enforcement waiting to get extra details about what exactly is going on out here. But from talking to students who've been out here, they say they've been out here for several hours as this scene was closed. They did get an alert from ODU officials about what's going on out here. That alert came out around 2:30 via text messages, phone calls, as well as emails about what's going on. Now, in the last hour or so, we did see police take a man out of the house right there and put him on the ground. And also an officer out here was telling students to back away from the tape because there is also another person in the house. So as of right now, we still don't know exactly how many people were in the home that was taken out. And Norfolk police officer did confirm to us that one man was detained. Right now, we don't know if he's in custody, but he was detained. An officer out here again told students to back away from the tape here because there's one person in the house. We'll be out here still following along this multi-agency investigation and still bring you the latest when we learn more. Live in Norfolk, Chanu Her, 13 News Now.
Flooding and sea level rise are major concerns for all of Hampton Roads.
In the past year, the city of Virginia Beach has done a lot of work on this problem, especially after the devastating flooding that happened during Hurricane Matthew. Now the city is getting the community involved with a series of meetings.
Well, the first one is getting underway right now. 13 News Now reporter Stephen Graves is live outside Kempsville High School with more.
Yeah, David, the point of these meetings is to specifically pinpoint neighborhoods. Tonight, it's here at Kempsville. I don't know if you can see behind me, but the cars are starting to flood in. It started at 6 today, but we went out earlier and found out there is no shortage of stories out there from people in this area.
The issue for us is when the high tide goes over 7.5 feet.
That's when Virginia Beach resident Tom Whitworth says he gets a little worried about life on the Elizabeth River.
So there really needs to be something done, not just our property, but everyone on this on the river.
I've seen canoes go down the street here.
Neighbor David Powell has ideas on how to fix all of this.
I think just cleaning the gutters would help.
But Whitworth says in his 15 years here, he's never been asked about his concerns.
We've discussed putting a fence, a concrete fence around the whole property.
Sometimes people don't want to hear about my ideas.
Now Virginia Beach leaders have teamed up with Old Dominion University for a series of meetings. It's part of a grant awarded 2 years ago. Professor and researcher Michelle Covey says to make improvement, she needs to hear stories.
Tell their stories about moving around the community. Maybe their house doesn't flood, but maybe they have trouble getting to work.
Covey says the goal is to assess flooding hazard areas and develop programs and plans. That info will go to city leaders for ways to prioritize money.
The studies have shown that we are getting these more extreme, rain all at once. The idea is to make Virginia Beach more resilient, more sea level wise.
And if you come to these meetings, you're asked to bring visuals. If you have pictures or videos, and make sure you have those stories ready because they're ready to listen. Now this one goes until 8 tonight. There's a series of meetings going throughout January. You can find out your area by visiting our website. Reporting live in Virginia Beach, I'm Stephen Graves, 13 News Now.
We're digging into new court documents filed in federal court in the case against the Navy veteran accused of kidnapping and killing Ashanti Billy. A motion we uncovered in federal court requests a mental examination for the suspect. There he is, Eric Brown. Now we're learning why prosecutors want to take this step. 13 News Now investigative reporter Laura Geller is here with those details. Laura?
Well, David, according to those new court documents, the government believes there is reasonable cause to think Eric Brown may not be competent to stand trial. The law requires a defendant be able to both assist in his defense and understand the proceedings in court.
The motion comes less than a month after Eric Brown was taken into custody and charged with kidnapping 19-year-old Ashanti Billy. Since then, according to new court records, authorities have documented Brown's irrational behavior and statements. Prosecutors say they include interactions of the defendant with agents prior to arrest, indicating deeply troubling statements and bizarre conduct. Information provided by the defendant to a prison psychologist and social services personnel, and documented and recorded observations of prison staff showing unusual actions of the defendant since incarcerated. The U.S. Attorney's Office wants an examiner at the Federal Medical Center in Butner, North Carolina, to do the evaluation. It appears from the motion, however, Eric Brown's defense attorneys want that exam and their client to stay here.
And prosecutors say they are prepared to present evidence, including videos, testimony, and medical reports at a hearing if needed. Late today, Brown's public defenders confirmed to us they are in fact objecting to this motion and want an examination done locally. Ultimately, competency to stand trial is determined by the court. Laura Geller, 13 News Now.
We are learning more about the hazing allegations against a sorority at the College of William & Mary. Sigma Iota Alpha is suspended until at least the end of spring 2018. The sorority is accused of socially isolating new members and forcing them to eat food. A statement from the university says the hazing, quote, resulted in a physical and mental toll on new members. So far, no criminal charges have been announced.
Clock is once again ticking toward another possible government shutdown at the federal level.
The deadline is Friday at midnight. Lawmakers, including Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, vow it will not happen.
13 News Now reporter Mike Gooding tells us with so much of Hampton Roads' financial well-being tied up in defense spending, one local economist is concerned.
During the last government shutdown in 2013, it's true that the furloughed workers did eventually get their back pay. But during the furlough itself, they didn't know that and therefore weren't able to spend any money.
And, you know, when you take that portion of my budget, it hurts. It really does. And I work paycheck to paycheck.
Everything from pizzas to cars to houses. The furloughees didn't buy any. They couldn't.
It affects everybody from restaurants to real estate to people who cut people's hair to grocery stores to automobile salesmen to jewelry stores. A long shutdown decreases consumption.
ODU economist Bob McNabb is worried.
About 40% of our economy is directly related to defense and the federal government. Anytime you have a disruption of defense spending in Hampton Roads, the Hampton Roads economy slows. If the federal government catches a cold, the Hampton Roads economy ends up in the ICU. Having it shut down is by no means good news for Hampton Roads.
And because of all this uncertainty, including the possible shutdown and the still lingering possibility of a return to sequestration budget cuts, the ODU Center for Economic Analysis and Policy has downgraded its outlook for economic growth in the region, going from optimistic to neutral. You can read that report. We have a link on our website, 13newsnow.com. Mike Gooding, 13 News Now.